If you step back and look at the whole picture, there are a lot of forces that came together when the iPhone came out. That was, to me, that was a whole new era that started with the iPhone.
Right.
But what led up to that, and most people haven't ever thought about this, to have the iPhone come out in '07, Steve Jobs died in '11. And so the technology had to get to a certain point for him to be able to really invent that at that point in time. And the technology, it's really clear to me, would not have advanced nearly as rapidly through the '90s and the early 2000s if IBM had succeeded in sort of closing the technology and letting it come out at the pace IBM wanted. So the open industry standard, by winning, allowed technology to flourish. Really, I call it the golden age of computer technology, advancing through the '90s and the 2000s, because you didn't have the dispersion of energy on a bunch of different platforms. You know, many computers, mainframes, throughout history, all computer industries had been proprietary. And so if you wrote software on this one, you really didn't have the resources to write it on that one. So it was very dispersed. But when the industry standard came along, all software companies could focus on the industry standard. So a lot more innovation in software and peripherals and display and storage and all of those things. They could focus on one architecture. That allowed it to really advance rapidly.
Yeah, and I just want, from my perspective, when we were making the film, it was clearly obvious with the portable, this was the first time that people sort of had a seed planted in their head that you could take your work with you, that you could leave the office and grab this 28-pound sewing machine, which is what it looked like, with a handle on it, a leather handle, and you could go home from work and do your work at home, and that was revolutionary. Nowadays, you know, we're all on our iPhone. Everything is done mobile. We don't do anything on a laptop pretty much anymore, or on a desktop. But this was the first time that idea of a mobile world was in people's heads, and I think that was a huge impact. And it was, because it was compatible, was a big part of why people were drawn to it, and it works so well. But just the idea of being able to walk away with something and get your work done was huge.